What is up guys, welcome to another video. That Geeky guy here, and today we'll be talking about the right set to choose if you are a new player. So Flesh and Blood TCG has entered its second year of its creation, and currently it has 5 sets to choose from. Now if you are a newer player, you might be confused to which set actually to choose from in the Flesh and Blood TCG. Therefore this is what the video is about. So currently there are 5 sets in Flesh and Blood TCG. We have Welcome to Wrath, we have Arcane Rising, we have Crucible of War, we have the Monarch, and finally we have the recently released Tales of Arya. Now Flesh and Blood TCG doesn't have the concept of rotation, so you don't have to worry about getting an older set. Instead, I would suggest you to go and choose a set based on the hero that you like. However, there are also some certain other criteria that you should look at before choosing a set to buy packs from. Now, the first set that I mentioned previously, which is Welcome to Wrath, is the first set ever released for Flesh and Blood TCG. It contains 4 different heroes to choose from, which is Katsu the Ninja, Dorenthia the Warrior, Rhina the Brute, and finally Bravo the Guardian. So each of these heroes actually teaches you the basic concept of the game. One of the best way to actually learn about these heroes is get a starter deck set from the Flesh and Blood TCG. However, it is already out of print for quite some time, but fret not, you can actually get a deck list from their official website in order to build a deck by yourself so that you can learn more about each of these heroes. The cards are pretty easy to obtain as the rarity are mostly commons and rares. Welcome to Wrath is meant to be an introductory set, therefore it is possibly the best set to start for beginner. However, before passing on the judgment, let's take a look at the other sets in order to determine whether you like these heroes from the other sets more. Now the second set in Flesh and Blood TCG is called Arcane Rising, which introduces the concept of arcane damage, which is a different damage type compared to the previous one, which is just basic physical damage. Now before we dive into more talking about arcane damage, let's take a look at the 4 more heroes that was introduced in this set. Now the 4 new heroes are Runeblade, a Mechanologist, a Ranger, and Wizard. So a Runeblade is a class that mixes up with a physical and arcane damage. In this case, a Viserai is the representation for Runeblade for this set. Now, Arcane Rising actually adds another layer of complexity to the game, as you can see for each of the heroes. Now, let's take Runeblade for example. It has a mixed source of damage, which is physical and arcane in this case. If you take a look at Mechanologist, it emphasizes the focus on using items and using its weapon in order to deal damage. If you take a look at Ranger, which heavily emphasizes on the use of arsenal. So Ranger actually emphasizes the proper use of the arsenal. And finally, we have Wizard, which is a complex class that focuses on arcane damage. So these 4 new heroes for Arcane Rising actually adds another layer of complexity to the game. And if you are a beginner and you are looking out for some challenge, Arcane Rising is a good set to start from instead of Welcome to Wrath. Now there are some key cards I would suggest looking out for in Arcane Rising and also Welcome to Wrath. In Welcome to Wrath, look out for cards such as Enlightened Strike. So Enlightened Strike is quite an expensive card to get. However, if you do get hold on it, it's a generic card, which means it can be used by all the classes and it has much utility. In Arcane Rising, look out for Command and Conquer and also Art of War. So these 2 are actually powerful cards that are currently popular in the meta. Now let's move on to the third set in Flesh and Blood TCG, which is Crucible of War. So Crucible of War is a supplemental set. So what the supplemental set means is actually provides new cards for the current classes. So it does not introduce any new classes, but it does provide new cards or new tools for the currently introduced classes, which are the, of course, aforementioned heroes, Ninja, Warrior, Brute, Guardian, and then we have the heroes from Arcane Rising, which are the Rangers, the Runeblades, the Wizards, and finally the Mechanologists. So Crucible of War is meant to introduce new tools to them. Now the first set in Flesh and Blood TCG is called Monarch. Now Monarch actually introduces the concept of evil and good, light and dark. Now the 4 new heroes that was introduced in this set are Light Warrior, Shadow Runeblade, Shadow Brute, and finally a whole new class which is Illusionist. Now you might notice that the 3 out of 4 heroes are a variation of the currently introduced heroes. which is has the shadow variation on it, or in the case of warrior is light. This basically means that the heroes can use both light cards if it's a light warrior and also a warrior card in this case. And for the shadow cards and the class itself, Chain for example, which is the Shadow Runeblade, can use both shadow cards and also Runeblade cards. This is true also for Leveia, which is a Shadow Brute class. She can use both shadow cards and also Brute class cards. Illusionist on the other hand is a whole new class, and she is highly dependent on the cards that was introduced in Monarch. Even if you are a beginner, do not worry, Monarch is a good set to also pick on. You can also learn the concept of having a class with variation. So you can actually learn a lot by playing this class, especially I would say Prism, because you learn the concept of playing instant, because her ability itself is an instant. Even though Monarch is a decent set to pick up for beginner, I would still recommend Welcome to Wrath over both Arcane Rising and Monarch. Now finally, let's jump into Tales of Arya, which is the recently released set for Flesh and Blood TCG. Tales of Arya actually mixes up a little bit by introducing 3 new elemental classes, which are Elemental Runeblade, Elemental Guardian, and finally an Elemental Ranger. So if you are a beginner that are thinking of getting into Flesh and Blood TCG and thinking on getting the recently released set, which is Tales of Arya, I would suggest you to go with the Elemental Runeblade, which is, I think, the least complex of all the 3 heroes, and is quite an easy deck to pick up and to play with. Elemental Runeblade is very easy to actually pick up, and there are quite a number of deck lists on the net itself that you can check out. Some of the recent nationals champions are using the Elemental Runeblade deck. So I would suggest that if you want to start out and you want a recently released set, check out Tales of Arya. However, it should be noted that Tales of Arya does not have cards that support the previous sets. So if you are going to Tales of Arya looking for generic cards, unfortunately it does not, Tales of Arya does not contain those cards. Therefore, in summary, I would say if you want to start out and you want to start out in the most recommended way, I would say go with Welcome to Wrath. However, if you want to start out with some classes with a bit more challenge and you are a bit more used to TCGs, start out with Arcane Rising or Monarch. And if you want to start out and you want to start out with a recently released set, go with Tales of Arya, and the least complex hero would be Elemental Runeblade. So that's it guys, that's it for the video, and I hope you guys enjoy and learn something for this video. Do drop a like, subscribe, and you can even share the video if you want. Comment down below what is your favorite hero to play, and if you are a new player, do let me know what you like about the game. Thank you very much for watching guys. See you guys in the next one. Bye.